Hey, welcome to my channel. This is Spirit, Soul, Sense, Information for Your Soul. I am Shareece, and I am a licensed clinical psychologist. For the last year, I've been doing psychological assessments, psychoeducational assessments, and I'm going to shift into doing psychotherapy, mostly, primarily. I wanted to tell you how I decided to become a psychologist and then talk a little bit what a psychologist is, what a psychologist does. So my story starts in childhood, as we all, and I knew I wanted to help people. I have like a helping personality, and I thought I am going to be an author, but the first thing I wanted to do was write books. I thought books were amazing. They helped people. I want to do this. I still want to do it. But that shifted. My father has some mental health issues. I've talked about it a little bit on my channel. And then I went to junior high, where this was the first time that I realized what class was, like what socioeconomic status was. I know we learn about this stuff in social studies, but like with anything that we learn, it's very different when you see it, when you experience it for yourself. So one of like my most poignant memories from junior high was this guy I had a crush on who was always absent from school. I never missed a day, never missed a day of school. And it just was so odd to me that somebody would be missing so many days from school. And the story that I got was that he had to babysit his younger siblings because his mother had to go to work. I mean, my mind was blown. My mind was blown, expanded. Didn't know families existed that had a structure like that. And so I learned a lot. And then is when I decided, I know I want to help people. And I think I want to help like teenagers who are going through stuff like this. That was like the idea. So then when I was in high school, I was like, okay, I will study biology. And then I met a psychologist, a Black woman psychologist, oddest place in my Spanish class. She came to give a talk. I don't remember what she came to talk about, but she talked, she explained what she did. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. I don't even remember if she really worked with kids. I primarily worked with kids, but she described being a psychologist in a way that I just was like, that's it. And so when I entered college, I was a double major, biology and psychology. You know, I wanted to be a marine biologist, and really I love nature, I love the ocean, and I want to dive. So then the next step of like learning psychologist, like I always knew I was gonna get my doctorate, but in applying to graduate school, which I will cover in detail in another video, I realized that there were so many different types of psychologists. So my psychology degree, my doctorate, is called a doctor in psychology. When you compare that to a doctor of philosophy, what most of us know as a Ph.D., the training is similar but different. My program was more of a practitioner model. Like they're really focused on making sure you have all the clinical skills to treat like clients and patients, whereas Ph.D. programs are generally like researcher positions. They prepare you a lot to do research, to be good consumers of research. That's not to say that Psy.D. programs don't do it. Lots of people have Psy.Ds who only do research, but that kind of goes into the different types of psychologists. So there are research psychologists. There are a lot of people who do, there's so many different types of research psychologists. Someone can focus on developmental, so that's just research on kids, but then that can be even more specific in the type of research that they look at with kids. Some are just looking at anxiety, some are looking at, physical symptoms in addition to like a depressive disorder. There's like so many. Could be a behavioral psychologist, could be a cognitive like there's so many different research areas that you could focus on. That's like one type of psychologist. Then there's industrial organizational psychologists. They look more at the big picture. They look at companies, businesses, and figure out how to best help employees succeed, improve morale, like all that stuff. I didn't want to do that. There's neuropsychologists, which is really like a subset of clinical psychology. But then there's also counseling psychologists, and they're similar. The training is just a little bit different. And when I say training, I mean the courses that you take and the way your professors focus your information. I think counseling psychologists really look more holistically at clients than clinical psychologists do. And then here's the big one. not a big one, but here's a big issue that happens all the time. And I don't take it personal. I know I didn't know the difference between psychologists and psychiatrists like for a long time. The way I usually explain it to people is psychiatrists go to medical school and psychologists do not. I knew. Listen, I have everything that a person needs to get in, attend, excel at medical school. I knew for sure I was never going to anybody's medical school. I also knew for sure I didn't want to work in anyone's hospital ever. I mean, have y'all been in hospitals? Like, I really feel like my soul would atrophy if I went into somebody's hospital every day for work. That's usually what neuropsychologists do. They usually work in hospitals or in private practice. They do like a lot of different things. But psychiatry it's really out learning the medication, learning all the different parts of the brain, but they still do understand like the behavioral. They can still do therapy, but the model of training is very different. They use the medical model. I don't like the medical model. So I knew that that wasn't for me. I decided that I was going to do a clinical psychology training program. And I knew for sure that I wanted a program that included a significant amount of diversity training, because my plan, like my desires is to work with very diverse people. And I wanted training that prepared me to work with very diverse people, which it has. The major thing that sets a psychologist apart from, say, a master's level therapist or a clinical social worker is psychological testing, really. Psychologists are, I mean, if you look in 2020, there's a lot of people doing testing, but they typically can't diagnose a mental health disorder in the same way that psychologists can using psychological or psychoeducational testing. Nobody else but a psychologist can do psychoeducational testing. Once I learned that testing was something that set a psychologist apart from a therapist, I also knew that was an area I wanted to focus in. I love kids so much. I mean, my training is across the lifespan, but I love kids so much that that's also an area that I focused on, because I wanted to make sure that even if I saw adults as like half of my clients, I wanted to be very competent in working with kids. So I have picked a career that I absolutely love. I know everyone is not fortunate enough to know early on what it is that they want to do. And a lot of people end up changing their careers like mid-career in their 40s or something. I say, do what makes your heart happy. Like, what I do brings me so much joy. Even if I have a boss I don't really like, I am telling you, I love doing what I do. Like, I love it so much. I love it so much. And, you know, my wish, as always on this channel, is for everyone to experience as much joy as possible in their life. You make the decisions that feel so right for you. Let me know what you're feeling grateful for. Remember to like, subscribe, share this video with someone who you think it would help. And thank you for watching.